As you can see out here, we are burning a whole bunch of cottonwood. You can see here, Sawmill Mike has got some piles of boards that he's cut, but the issue that we've got is the cost of lumber has dropped dramatically over the last 12 months. If you go back and look at the commodity exchange, you can go back and look at the cost of 2x4s. Lumber is cheap right now. So if you're building a house, it's a good time to be buying lumber packages because lumber is cheap. And it's gone blind. That's the problem is where Sawmill Mike could make money milling this cottonwood and selling pallet wood to companies. Those companies can buy at a price point that is equal to or maybe a little bit less than what Mike can produce this pallet lumber for. So where there 6 months ago there was money to be made in sawing up these trees, there's just no money to be made. And so if a person could bet on the future, store these away, put them somewhere and cut them up, then maybe down the road the market will come back up and there would be money in cutting these trees and turning this into pallet wood, where there would be enough money in it to pay you for your time. But right now you could make a lot more money doing custom sawmilling than you would ever make in cutting up these cottonwood trees. Now, a lot of folks have said, hey, why don't you chip it all? Why don't you put it in a chipper and ship it up? Well, you can see there's some massive logs. These are not little tiny 6-inch trees. These are some 36, 42-inch giant logs that are not just going to go into any kind of chipper. It's going to need to be a tub grinder, and somebody would have to cut these into like 10-foot lengths, load them into that tub grinder and ship it up. So I got a quote to grind up all of these trees. Now, you got to understand, we've got close to somewhere between 800 and 900,000 board feet. I mean, we've got some massive log decks out here, a ton of trees. And the work that Uncle Mike did, sawing the stuff he did, made some beautiful boards. But Mike's not going to waste his time sawing boards that aren't going to make him money when there's plenty of boards to cut that are profitable. So I don't want to go spend the money to put all of these I don't want to spend the money to put all these trees through a tub grinder and have mountains of wood chips out here that I still have to push out and spread out and move around. So cheapest and easiest is light them on fire, and that's not free. I mean, it's going to take a lot of machine time to bring all of those logs to the fire, to keep that fire going, consolidate those piles, and then clean up this giant fire pit after it's all done, and spread all that up, clean it all out, and get rid of this mess of trees. But the push is on to get that done right now, because what we've got is this little spring window where things are wet. You can see we've still got water and snow melting in places. And with the rains that we've had, things are wet. So lighting these great big burn piles it's safer to do it now than to do it later in the summer when things are drier and it's easier to start fires. So the push is on to get this stuff burned up and get rid of it, in hopes that if we can just burn it all up, clean it all up, then we can check that box. Because there's other things that we could do later when it's warmer weather, when the fire danger is higher, that we we can do that later. There is a lot of stuff we could do when the fire danger is really high. So the priority right now, the idea is we'll focus on getting this burnt while we can burn, and then we can get back to doing those other things like pulling stumps and some of the other, we'll get back to road building and utilities and those kinds of things that we can do when there's not quite so much fire danger. Damn it. So we'll burn this up while we can, while things are wet and the fire danger is low, and later on we can work on other things like building roads and putting in utilities when the fire danger is high. This is going to take some time. The secret to these burn piles, now that we're a little bit further down the road and we've burned quite a few of these, is that we want to get as much heat and as much fire as possible. So on this pile, it's now mid-afternoon. We'll let it burn for a while, and then end of the day around 5 or 6, we'll throw on a whole bunch more, and then I'll probably come back tonight around 8 or 9, load up a whole bunch more. That'll coast through the night, and then in the first thing in the morning we'll reload it, restir, and keep loading, because I want to keep it as hot as I possibly can. I don't want it to die down. I don't want it to cool off. I'm going to need as much heat as possible to burn up these great big logs. But my hope is that if we can keep this going for 4 or 5 days, we could get the majority of these trees burned up and at least reduce the size of our log decks down to something that's more manageable. Now, we have put out Facebook ads, we have put out Craigslist ads in hopes of finding somebody that could find value in this and just give it away. I haven't had any takers. A few people have come by, some people have picked up firewood, and that's been great. But I need it gone, and I need it gone now so that I can work on other things. And so I know that maybe this much burning might be frowned upon, or it might be ecologically irresponsible to burn this much, but I've spent 6 months looking for somebody to take it for free, to mill it up. At this point, I've done my best, and now it's just about getting it done, getting it cleaned up, and getting it gone. So we're gonna burn. We're gonna burn like crazy while we can. Now the burn permits come on May 10th, and that's kind of the, gosh dang it. I don't know, we've got Timberline helicopters that's out of Sandpoint, Idaho, and they've got these amazing Blackhawks. They're their own personal Blackhawks. They're a military Blackhawk that they've purchased and then refabricated to be a long line helicopter, and they do a lot of heavy lifting projects all over the country, and it's way cool to see those guys out and flying around. But if they could wait till I got this video done, that'd be greatly appreciated. I know that there's been a lot of discussion in the comments about mulching it versus burning it, and I'm gonna burn it because bottom line, that's cheapest. But this is a little bit of a permaculture thing, and permaculture is great, but it is the slow boat to China. It is not a fast process, and when you're dealing with dollars and cents, the time value of money says burn this stuff, get it cleaned up, and let's move on to the next. So if you are into permaculture and you want these trees, I've had them out there for free for 6 months, and you're more than welcome to come get them. And I'll support you in doing what you want to do, but I gotta burn. So burn, baby, burn. Gosh dang it. quick update. The burn pile is burning's going great. Really having some success back here. Only took about, what's it been, 2 hours? It's been about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and thing took right off. Super dry. It's been warm enough. I didn't think it was going to go this well, but it's going awesome. Man, it's getting late and getting dark, and it is still hot. This fire is, I don't know if you can, this fire is raging. We've come a long way since we started burning slash piles, and I think we've got it figured out. Maybe too well. As long as we can keep this thing consolidated to right here, this pile's gonna burn up quick, and we'll be able to get this place cleaned up.